but I don't see courses, any of the courses that I know very well that are out there. None of them ask those questions or give the answers to those questions. So it's tough for a new seller.
Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm.
Hey everyone, it's Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the Amazon FBA and e-commerce podcast. Today we're going to be talking about data, making sense of Amazon and e-commerce data in 2023. We're going to talk about how has data become a significant competitive advantage to sellers? Is there such thing as too much data, aka analysis paralysis? And what are the resources that sellers have access to? All right, welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. All right, like I said, today we're going to be talking about making sense of Amazon and e-commerce data in 2023. I think that is so important. Our guest is the founder and CEO of Intentwise. He started his business 8 years ago to help brands, agencies, and aggregators accelerate their Amazon and e-commerce growth through powerful software applications and data infrastructure. So first-time guests, we'll be welcoming Sreenath Reddy in just a moment. But first, let's have a word from the sponsor. Launching products isn't like it used to be. To successfully launch your product, you need to hit that algorithm from all sides. Driving external sales, boosting social signals, and increasing product listing engagement are fundamental to success. Rebate is the first and only launch platform that delivers across this broad range. Get your product featured on Amazon.live through Rebate's influencer program. With this service, your product gets instant exposure to large audiences of shoppers and permanent placement on Amazon Influencer Storefront, which drives perpetual sales. Run a sweepstakes campaign on Rebate and connect with shoppers off Amazon. And lastly, drive external sales with tried and true deals campaigns. Visit rebate.com today and get started with your 14-day free trial. Right now, why don't we bring on, and I'm going to say this right, I swear I'm going to say it right, Sreenath.
Sreenath.
Oh my God. See, I said Sreenath. Sreenath. There we go.
Yeah.
Sreenath. That's what I said the first time, right? You said, nope, absolutely wrong. And I said, I'm going to mess it up. All right. It's really great to meet you. I think the topic today is very interesting. A lot of the times we're talking about aesthetics and, how to craft your listing, maybe optimizing, but we don't spend enough time on data. And I guess you're the right guy to talk to about data, right?
Yes, we certainly have spent a lot of time dealing with it.
So what I'm very interested in, and we're talking about Amazon and e-commerce, so it's probably a little bit different when you're diving into it. It might be the same KPIs that you're looking at, but they're coming in from different tools. So I'm kind of curious, when we're talking about data right now, how has data become a significant competitive advantage to sellers?
Yeah, great question. I think I would frame it in the form of a couple of big shifts that are happening. Right, one is Amazon has started to share more and more data, especially via their APIs over the last 18 months. And we can get into that a little bit more as to what that means. So there's that shift that's going on. And then the other shift that's happening is, we have all heard about or done something with ChatGPT, right? So AI is becoming incredibly more accessible than it has ever been. And not only is it more accessible, it has just advanced so much over the last 3 to 4 years that, when you put these two together, those of us that I think will leverage those two shifts are at a pretty big advantage, right? So I would frame it in that regard, and I, of course, will get deeper into, what do I really mean when I say Amazon is sharing more and more data? But I would frame it that way, and anyone that's forward looking or want to stay competitive has to think about how do you leverage those two shifts, big shifts that we are all in the midst of.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's first of all talk about
Yeah.
Amazon and the way that they're sharing their information now.
Yeah, certainly. So if you just look at the solution set that was available for us, even if when you dial back, let's say 2 years, from an advertising perspective, you of course have sponsored ads. I'm sure a lot of your audience is all too familiar with it. We also had DSP, and then you had Seller Central with a bunch of reports, and there was something called MWS API that you could access data programmatically, if not go to the console and download reports. So that was our universe before, right? If you just look at what has happened over the last 18 months or so, Amazon has really expanded their footprint of what they call measurement solutions. So there's lots to talk about there, but I'll talk about kind of 4 specific things in that regard. Number one, what used to be called MWS is now called Selling Partner API. It wasn't just a name change. They fundamentally changed the way you can access the MWS. You could access Seller Central data, but it was just painful to be accessing. It's hard to access a whole bunch of data from a number of accounts very easily. They made it really easy for API access, right? And also, I mean, your audience is sellers, but if there was a vendor here, there were no APIs for vendors, vendor data before. That changed last year with the Selling Partner API. And that API continues to get more and more in terms of ease of access and the data set. So that's one of 4 pieces. The second piece is, one of the themes that has been of interest in the seller community is how do you drive off Amazon traffic to on Amazon, right? There's, Amazon attribution, a way to tag your campaigns that are off Amazon, see what the outcomes are on Amazon. Granted, that solution just needs to get better over time, but Amazon attribution is another piece that they introduced.
That's something, by the way, sorry for interrupting you, but I've talked to so many sellers out there, good sellers, they're making a good buck. So I would call it an intermediate, not just a beginner. Yeah. And I don't know if it's the just being afraid to get into it, but we're doing this influencer program. We literally have hundreds and hundreds of products just around a 10-foot radius from what where I'm talking. Yeah. And there's probably 2 that are using, maybe 3 that have given us an attribution code.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just shocked at that. So, I think probably one of the podcasts going down a different rabbit hole is really just doing an over the shoulder, how you do it together, because some people I think are just afraid or just not sure of technology, and they're not applying it. And with that, you get that 10 points back for driving external traffic.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I mean, it's a separate topic unto itself, perhaps.
I like interrupting people. I'm sorry. And now I've cut
no. This is
there you go.
So I think no worries at all. And so Selling Partner API, Amazon attribution, and then there's Amazon Marketing Stream, where it is publishing advertising metrics on an hourly basis, right? So just rather than you getting data once a day, you actually get hourly data, and you can do something with it. Hey, you can actually know what campaigns are running out of budget on an hourly basis and do something with it. You can go change your bidding based on hourly performance. So there is that, basically hourly data. And it's not just advertising, and we are working with other data pipes. It goes beyond just advertising in terms of hourly data. And the last one, the 4th component, probably the most important component in all of this, is Amazon Marketing Cloud, right? So Amazon Marketing Cloud think of it as a solution where Amazon is tracking every impression, every click, every action at a shopper level, at that grain. Now it's a clean room, meaning that you can't go see what did this individual shopper do, but you can run some aggregates to see what is their shopping pattern, right? What are all the campaigns that they are touching before they're buying? What is the influence of upper funnel campaigns on lower funnel campaigns? So you could just do lots of exploration of shopper journeys, and that's Amazon Marketing Cloud. Today, it is accessible to people that do DSP spend, but it's pretty fairly clear to us that they're going to make it accessible to everybody. But again, back to your original question, these four pieces: selling partner API, attribution, marketing stream data, Amazon Marketing Cloud, these are all new, right? These are all came about in the last 18 months. And I think that the ones that are going to compete more effectively are the ones that can leverage all these data sets.
Right. I have talked to a bunch of people that provide data,
Yeah.
and when I talk to other sellers about it, and I'm probably one of these people because
Yeah.
I'm old, but you get data paralysis. So I know, like we were talking a little bit about this just before, but is there such thing, and how do you get over it?
Yeah. That's a great point, Norm. I mean, just a little bit of background. Before starting Intentwise, by the way, I'm one of the founders of this company called Intentwise. I spent 15 years working for a couple of large companies running data teams. The one before was a company called Orbitz, the online travel company. We would get about 25 million unique visitors to the site. We tracked all the activity we had. Back then, it was called big data.
Yep.
And so I have the battle scars of building infrastructure and making that data useful to people. So that's kind of the experience I've come from. And I think the question you ask is spot on, right? Which is dealing with data, doing something with data, investing in data for the purpose of, doing it is just without actually very specific, impactful questions in your mind, in my opinion, is a waste of time. And you can easily do that. That is what I define. The difference between getting outcomes and being, this term paralysis is you're going at data without a clear sense of impactful questions in your mind. And so one of the exercises I always tell people, especially if I'm meeting a senior leadership team, whether it's a seller or a brand or an agency, is, and I call this the roadmap, sit down and frame up your 10 most important questions. And I say important because they could be important because they are painful for you to answer. They could be important because they give you anxiety because you don't know the answer. They could be important because it is so strategic that it could change the course of your business, right? And I can give you examples in each of these. The single most important thing when we think about data is to be able to construct this list of questions which serve as the roadmap. And all activity around data should be centered around answering those questions. And that way, never at any point should you feel like, okay, this is paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
It's all very informed, very guided, and efficient.
Well, can we talk about some of these questions? Because it's easy to say, oh, here's 5 or 10 different questions that we need answered.
Yeah.
But for sellers, what are those questions that they should be asking to get the best out of the data?
Yeah, definitely. So some of these questions, I'll share with you, some of the questions we are helping people automate in terms of answers, right? And some of this may sound very simple, but item level profitability. What is my item level profitability, and is my ad spend aligned with my profitability by product? Seems like an important question to have ready-made answers for.
Right.
Right. What are my inventory levels today? And again, I give you an advertising example, but is my ad spend aligned with where my inventory levels are? Or am I skewed towards spending money on my out of stock items? Right. So that's another question. Some anxiety oriented questions would be, hey, my top line sales are down year over year by 20%. Why? So, and and if you don't have a set process to answer those, you will get everyone around you run around like chicken with their head cut off, right? You just need like real good SOPs, and there's more strategic questions, right? Who truly are my competitors? In a place like Amazon, that shifts a lot, and I tell brands all the time, your competition is at the product level, not at the company level. And do you have a good sense of who your competition is last week, both from an organic and advertising standpoint? So these are some questions, and again, it boils down to specifics of your business and where you're at and what you want to answer. But I hope that helps.
Yeah, it does. Because a lot of sellers, especially if you're just coming off of a course, courses don't teach that. I haven't seen a course that teaches that. Maybe our friend Brandon Young, he's really into data analysis as well. Maybe his inner circle will talk about that, but I don't see courses. Any of the courses that I know very well that are out there, none of them ask those questions or give the answers to those questions. So it's tough for a new seller, intermediate seller, even some advanced sellers to figure that out. So how do you go about doing that? Like, where do you get the data from?
Yeah. So I think I just want to add one more point in terms of framing of questions, and because this comes up all the time. What I recommend sellers do is think about 3 buckets of questions. There is the operational questions, things you want to know quickly to monitor the business, to understand what happened. Oftentimes, that is a challenge too, right? The second set of questions, diagnostic questions, often troubleshooting questions. Hey, my ACoS is shot up. Why? My top line sales are down. Why? Have those questions, right? So diagnostics is the second bucket. And the third bucket is strategic. And the example I gave you, who are my competitors, right? What is my value proposition compared to my competitors' products value props, right? So questions like the strategic. So I would think about those 2 buckets of questions, right? But let's say you had those questions, right? I mean, let me take an example: item level profitability. Okay. It's often a combination of you need data from Seller Central, from certain reports. You need data from advertising, from certain reports at a product level. You need your own margin data. And when you bring those 2 together, with those 3 things together, you can start to get at a view that gives you true profitability by item. So the point is, once you have the question, then I call it the next step, which is execution. Do I have the data? If not, how do I collect it? If I'm already collecting it, is it stitched together at a product level in this instance for me to build my view? Okay, that's done. Let's go construct this view. You need, oftentimes, it could be Excel for all you care, or it could be a tool like a Power BI or Tableau. Depends on your sophistication. But the idea is, do I have the data? Is it connected at the right grain for me to build this view? And let's go build that view and have it ready and refreshed every day, right? So that's the path I would take with each of these questions. Honestly, what we are talking about here is an actual data strategy. That's how data strategy works, right? And you should be checking the box every quarter on some of those questions, saying, okay, done. I now have answers to these questions readily available. Let me go move on to the next, right? It's an iterative process. And part of this also is informed by knowing what is possible, right? Amazon Marketing Cloud, that came about. Okay, it's all new. What in the world happens in that data? What new questions can I answer? So a parallel path to this is perhaps it's conversations like this, where as new things happen, possibilities open up, but just being aware and what new questions can you answer is just something you need to have the mindset and initiative to do, right? On the matter of questions, just one last thing. At the risk of sounding philosophically, it's actually a therapeutic exercise, right? Just taking the time to sit down and list the things that bother you, the things that give you an advantage, the things that others may not be thinking about, the things that are unique to your business. Get a bunch of people in a room for an hour, have fun with it, but construct those questions, right? Um, Anyway, I'll stop there. I can go on that topic now.
No, and I think that's these are some really great points. I'm kind of curious. Maybe we'll put them into the Facebook group. We can come up with a few, but maybe a list of 10 questions that
Yeah.
sellers should be asking to
Yep.
get get the data out of it. Like you talked about one that I see happen all the time, and that's when you put together a campaign and you're putting tons of money into this. This could be Google, it could be wherever you're spending your money, but you didn't do the proper analysis. And now you're either going and buying up these buying keywords rather than, browsing keywords rather than buying keywords, or you're sending traffic over to listings that have no inventory, or you've got such a great advertising ad spend and it's driving it over to listings that you're going to run out of inventory.
Very soon.
So if you don't know this information, and you might look like you have a ton of info, like let's say, oh, it looks like you got 472 units, but it's such a great deal. There's going to be thousands of in demand.
Yeah. In fact, we all came through a period of all kinds of inventory issues and shipping cost inflations and things like that. And this is an extremely severe issue, like dial back 6, 9, 12 months. It's slightly better, I think. But inventory, like running out of stock, and you still are buying ads. And granted, some of the ads are inventory aware, meaning they won't run if you truly ran out of stock, but that's not entirely true. You could have a message that says, hey, it's going to be coming in 2 weeks, and ads will keep showing, your conversion rate sucks, and you're burning through your money, right? So that happens all the time. And frankly, in fact, one of the things we do at Intentwise is just really bringing in retail signals into the way ads are managed. But that's a great example of why just this connected view. And the question should be, are my media dollars allocated in an intelligent way, given inventory status by product? That's your question. Right? Let's go find the answer. There should be a view that tells you ad spend last 7 days, inventory status. There's actually a field called alert in one of the reports. It says low, in stock, a few things. And now some of you may not want to rely on it. You may want to do your own math, no problem. But there should be a singular view that puts media and ad data and inventory data together at a product level and let you take actions, maybe pause or enable those products, and in some cases even automate. That's where you need to be.
Yeah, those are all good points. Let's see, we're at the bottom of the hour. A little bit different today. So instead of talking aesthetics, we're talking data. And I want to know, and this is so crazy when I look at it, because I know it can be intimidating. And I'm building a course right now on Google Business Profile, and just because there's so many tabs, they're easily to walk through, but it's intimidating. Now, when you slide over to data, that's a whole other ball game. And I know that a lot of sellers base their listings on aesthetics rather than basing it on data, and they should do both, and probably more lean on the data side. I know the top sellers, and disagree with me if you like, but all 100%, I believe the top sellers are all based on data. That's how they grow their business. So I want to ask the listeners, we got a bunch of listeners on here. First of all, are you using data? And if you have any questions about data, let us know. We're here to answer those questions. And after that, I guess we should talk about Wheel of Kelsey. If this is the first time you're listening to this podcast, we have a great giveaway at the end of every podcast, and it's called Wheel of Kelsey. So to enter it, it's hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, and you'll get a second entry. All right. So what are we giving away today?
Oh, that's for me, right?
Oh, that's over to you. When
Yeah,
I go
yeah,
like this, that's over to
yeah.
you.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, today's a free data audit to whoever qualifies, and the idea with that is we would get on a call, help them frame the questions that I was talking about, and assess the readiness of how they can answer those questions, which basically translates into, do you have the right data stack? What tools do you need to have in place? Just a path to executing that data strategy. So data audit and the recommendation on strategy going forward. So that's what we have to offer.
So if you're just joining us now and you missed out that first segment, I think it was very interesting about how important these questions are, how to frame those questions, and how to get
Yeah.
results, how to pull the data to get those results. So that's what this audit's all about. I think it's awesome. So if you're interested in hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, you'll get a second entry. And I think this is priceless. So it will help your business. Well, it's worth the audit, put it that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Kelsey, hit that button. Are you struggling to keep up with your Amazon business? Do you need help from a skilled, reliable virtual assistant? Well, look no further than the Virtual Assistant Academy, or VAA Philippines. Founded by successful Amazon sellers who know the challenges of hiring quality VAs, VAA specializes in locating, screening, training, and supporting high-quality VAs in the Philippines. Their VAs receive extensive Amazon training and ongoing professional development and are committed to a long-term working relationship with you. Partner with VAA and experience the peace of mind knowing that you have a dedicated Amazon-trained VA who's up to date with the latest tools and trends in the dynamic Amazon marketplace. Head over to VAAphilippines.com and let VAA match you with your ideal VA today. Okay, we are back. We touched on this earlier, but what are some of the resources that sellers have access to now?
Yeah, I think I would say the 4 different measurement tools that are currently Amazon has launched over the last 18 months. They're all accessible to sellers. Beyond that, I think there's a ton of learning and certification content around all of those that Amazon themselves has made available. And then lastly, there's companies like ours where we are helping these sellers really automate data collection, automate enriching of data and visualizing data, just really having, basically standing up a complete data stack very, very quickly. So I would say those are the kind of 3 kinds of resources available. And so yeah.
Okay. And just in case you didn't hear at the beginning, Intentwise is the name of your company.
That's
And
right.
so anyways, you can always check that out. We'll talk about it a little bit more at the end of the podcast. But the other thing we talked about earlier, you've said it 2 or 3 times during the podcast, and that's Amazon Marketing Cloud. So how is that different? What is it, and how is it different from other marketing platforms?
Yeah, so I think first of all, let me speak that relative to, I think, what most of the audience is used to, which is let's say sponsored ads and DSP. If you look at your, let's say, sponsored ad data and take like product campaign data, it's all last click attributed, meaning as a shopper, I could have touched 10 campaigns, but the last campaign that they touch gets the credit for the sale, right? But what changes with Amazon Marketing Cloud is, in Amazon Marketing Cloud, you can see every touch. You can decide to attribute that transaction whichever way you want, right? So you don't get caught in this last click attributed view. You can get to a more realistic sense of what have the shoppers been exposed to. You can get to a better understanding of hey, if you have any top of the funnel tactics like with DSP campaigns, what is the impact of that on your bottom of the funnel? You can even do things like lifetime value analysis, if you have sufficient amount of data. So the point being, given the grain and the connectedness of data where you can see the complete journey of shoppers, you can now start to answer questions that you couldn't answer before, right? A very simple way to describe this is, let's just say for a moment you're running a sponsored product campaign and a sponsored display campaign. Let's just for a moment assume that people actually see this sponsored product campaign, engage with it, and then they come and convert on that sponsored display campaign. In today's world of optimization, you will never see the fact that this sponsored display campaign performs well because you had that sponsored product campaign running in front of it, right? But with AMC, that's possible, and you will start to take different decisions on campaign optimization. So the grain of data, the connectedness of data, opens it up for us to be answering a lot more interesting questions that we didn't answer before, and that's what makes it unique. I think the likes of Google and Facebook may have similar products, but what's cool about AMC is that now I think from an Amazon standpoint, they're going to make this the center of their measurement universe and connect advertising data, overall sales data, maybe even some offline data as well, if it's relevant for some of the sellers. But yeah, I hope that gives you a picture of what AMC is.
Yeah, and so you talked about AMC, but you also mentioned Amazon Marketing Stream.
Yes.
And what's the difference between the two?
Yeah, so Marketing Stream, think of it as a push mechanism. You sit there and you listen to this data from an API. Every hour, it's basically telling you what happened to spend, impressions, clicks, conversions. Just every hour, it's pushing that out to you, right? It's not at a shopper level, right? It's just your own existing marketing performance with another attribute called hour. That's it, right? So you can think about stream data as your regular advertising data, but getting pushed to you on an hourly basis. That's what stream is. On the other hand, AMC is shopper level granular data, and tracked at an event level. So every impression, every click is tracked. Amazon Marketing Stream is still aggregated data. You just get it on an hourly basis, and you get it for that previous hour. So.
Yeah, and I remember that was always a challenge trying to get that information.
Yeah, so you get it. So there's two kinds of data within Amazon Stream, right? So one is the actual performance metrics, which is costs, revenue, spend, impressions, clicks, conversions, that. But there's also event data. So every hour you get like how much of the budget has a campaign consumed. So that if a campaign consumed is running out of budget, you can take some actions. So they're publishing that to you. You can listen and take action programmatically. That's what Amazon Marketing Stream is. So the questions you can answer through Stream is like, okay, by hour of day or by hour of day and day of week, what is my ACoS? What are my spend? All the standard metrics you can see by the hour.
Got it. Okay, so and I think we've touched on this a little bit, but what are some of the common challenges sellers face when trying to utilize data effectively?
Yeah, there's a number of challenges. I mean, I'll touch on the key ones, right?
Yep.
One is even if you had the desire to do something with data, you still need to get it, right? The most scalable way to access it is through APIs. Otherwise, you're manually downloading stuff, and when you do that, it's really hard to join. And I won't be surprised if some of the audience have big spreadsheets with lots of VLOOKUPs, and somebody who knows that spreadsheet has left you, so you don't know what's going on in that spreadsheet. So that happens, right? So I think collecting data at scale as more and more sources become available is a challenge. Now, if you're large enough, you may have a technical team integrating those APIs and all that, but that's still a burden. It's actually low value activity. You get no value out of just collection, right? It's ultimately when you do something with this where value is. And just to give you an interesting stat, just last year alone, advertising APIs changed 6 times. So you got to keep up with these changes. So data collection is still a pain, period. Even though there is abundance of data, actually it's getting it compounds. Data collection problem is compounding. The second problem you have is even when you collect the data, you still need to enrich the data. Here's some specific examples. Right? I mean, you were touching on this earlier, Norm. You want to look at your advertising performance and say, hey, what is my brand keyword performance versus non-brand keyword performance? What are your brand terms, right? Depending on the portfolio of products and the size of the company here, you could have 1 brand term or 20 brand terms. But you need a way to tag every keyword as brand versus non-brand and every search term as brand versus non-brand. Otherwise, there is no way you can do this segmentation and get to brand versus non-brand performance. I call that enriching the data, right? You need your margin data somewhere so you can calculate item level profitability. So even after you collect, there's a need to enrich the data, right? Which is time consuming. The third piece is the data still is fragmented. And I want to explain that with a very simple example. I know all of us desire to have at an ASIN level a complete 360-degree view, right? Sponsored ads, DSP, organic sales, inventory position, content quality, reviews. You want it all in one place. But you are talking about joining 10, 15, 20 different reports and tables to get to that view. So even when you collect it, data is fragmented, And last but not least, doing anything with this requires skills and people, and that's a scarcity in the market. So collection, enriching, connecting the data so you can get value out of it quicker, and having the skills to go do all of this, those are all current day challenges around data.
Okay. Let's see. I've got a couple questions in the comment area, but before we get to them, I do want to talk about your company, Intentwise. So what exactly does Intentwise do, and how can it benefit Amazon or e-com sellers?
Yeah. So Intentwise, we offer 2 solutions, right? So one is we have a full-blown ad optimization platform to manage your ad spend effectively. We are an advanced partner with Amazon. We have triple-digit millions in spend going through the platform. So there's that solution. We also have a separate solution that can work with ads or independently. It's called Intentwise Analytics Cloud. And that is really designed to solve all these data challenges that we were just talking about. And what that platform does is it automates the collection of all your data. So you own all your data without manually doing stuff or without investing development time building API integrations. We manage the API connectivity. We manage the accuracy of data. All of those things we manage through the Intentwise Analytics platform. So data collection is automated. We allow for enriching of that data very easily. We let you track brand versus non-brand terms, margins, product groupings, all of that is automatically, we make it really easy. And we even have reporting templates that get you up and running on many standard reports very quickly and or customize them in ways that are very specific to your business. So that's Intentwise Analytics Cloud. And of course, in terms of data sources, we are connected to the standard data sources one thinks about: sponsored ads, DSP, Seller Central, Vendor Central. We're also connected to some of the newer data streams like Marketing Stream, Amazon Marketing Cloud, attribution, so on and so forth. So it's a comprehensive mechanism for you to collect, own, and act on all your data. That's Intentwise Analytics Cloud. That's our second solution.
Okay. All right. Now, I don't know why everybody is shy today, but if you are looking at entering the giveaway, it's #Wheel of Kelsey. You're going to have a data audit. And if you heard about what Intentwise is giving away, it is really cool. You're going to get the full spectrum of your data analysis done. And I think it's an awesome prize. So hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people. Let's get into a couple of other questions, and then we'll go over to the wheel.
Okay, so we have a couple comments from Coolhand99 here. So Coolhand saying data analysis is definitely a weak point for me. Knowing what to do with all the data is my main issue. So I guess the question from that is, what can sellers do if that is a weak point for them? How can they kind of get around this hurdle?
Yeah, I think it's important to actually frame the problem itself, right? So it's, you just have to decide, hey, I've got all the data I need. I just don't know what to do with it. Or look, getting this data is painful in the beginning. Forget thinking about what I want to do with it. You just need to be super clear on where you're at, and I address both. I think if you're at a place where you think you have control on all the data that you need to have, the number one thing, I mean, if your main issue is that you don't know what to do with it, I go back to asking the question I raised at the beginning of the conversation. Do you have your top 10 questions framed? If not, let's go do that first. Because if you get to a great list there, whether you do that by you sitting down by yourself and thinking through those, or you talk to experts, you talk to folks like Norm or me, whatever it is, right? Frame those 10 questions, and then the only conversation that needs to be had is, are you on a path to answering those questions accurately and fast? It is less about, hey, I've got all this data, what do I do with it? It's just more about, those questions. Yes, I talked about lots and lots of data sources. Do you need to activate all of them to start getting value? Not really. I'll tell you right now, most people are under leveraging just the data that is available within Seller Central, right? And ads, so I think, and then you can take incremental steps, but my main point is start with framing those questions, and we are here to help. But that would be my 2 cents. And if your problem is, look, I don't know how to get access to this data, that's a technical problem, and companies like ours have a solve for it. We can automate the data collection and make it available in a nice, clean data store, and so it always remains and accessible to you, even if it goes away on your consoles on Amazon. So it just depends on where your problem is. Maybe your problem is both. I hope that helps.
Okay.
All right. And our last question is from Neil. What data should a person look at when they're going to launch their first Amazon product?
Yeah, this is, I think, I'm sure this question has been talked about and asked a lot, and there's lots of tools out there. Some are known tools. I think it just depends again on where you are at with that first product launch, right? So if the assumption, I'll make the assumption that you are super clear on the value proposition of the products and the category you're entering in, and price points firmed up, so you understand why customers will choose yours versus others. If that's the phase you're in, I think a super firm grasp of, how are the competing products. First of all, number one question, what is your competition? What are the top 10 products that will compete with your product? Simple question, not easy to answer, but I would go get that answer first. And then the second point is like, what truly is my value prop? Is that showing up in the title and the images and the text? And then the third piece is, how do I amplify traffic to this thing? So I think, to me, it boils down to shelf intelligence / competitive landscape is the first data set I would look at, leading up to framing exactly what the value proposition is and why someone would choose you. Because if you have that, then that can really inform your advertising strategy. Otherwise, you'll scatter your ad spend across too many shoppers that may not be your precise targets. So I think just framing that, who you compete with, what your distinct value proposition is step number one. That, to me, falls under strategic. And then in the execution pieces, do you have your content nailed to surface that differentiation? And then how does this translate to your advertising execution strategy? And then in terms of ongoing measurement, where do you rank organically versus your competition? You could track that. And also see what is ad spend doing to your organic ranking. By the way, to us, these are all data sources that you should collect and automate so that the analysis and answers to these questions would be super easy.
Okay. Is that it, Kels?
Yep, that's it.
Let's just go over the giveaway again because I didn't do it justice. Can you tell us what you're giving away? What Intentwise is giving away today?
Yeah, we are giving away a free advertising audit. What that encompasses is helping a business frame their key 10 questions and then looking at are they ready to answer those questions today or not, and also framing up a path to how they could potentially answer those questions if they aren't ready yet. So that's what we're going to do as part of the audit.
So if everybody who has been listening from the beginning of the podcast, it's all about crafting those 10 questions. And that's what's happening. And then understanding how to do it and or what to do and how to do it. So let's see. We'll give another couple of seconds. We'll come back from the sponsor. And then if not, we'll go to the Wheel of Kelsey. I want to give a quick shout out to an incredible group of sponsors who help keep our podcast running. The Lunch with Norm podcast wouldn't be possible without the support of the following sponsors: Wally Smarter, Post Purchase Pro, VAA Philippines, Jeff Schick Law, Rebate, Honu Worldwide, Extreme Power, Dragonfish Brand Management, and Startup Club. Thank you. And now back to our show. All right. So, Kelsey, let's play the Wheel of Kelsey music. Oh, before we go to that, how do people get a hold of you?
So I'm on LinkedIn. I think Kelsey should have a link to my profile that you can message me there, or it's just Sreenath@intentwise.com. That's my email. That's another way to get a hold of me.
Okay.
Those are the two main
Very
ways.
good. Yeah. Hit the button, Kels.
All right, here we go.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
Okay, so I can't believe it, but there's only been one entry. Is that correct, Kels?
That's right. So we have our winner, Luke, Coolhand99. Congratulations.
So not only are they going to get that, which is an awesome prize, Luke, and I know your products, so you're going to. This is perfect for you. This is one, like we've had a ton of giveaways. This is one that would be perfect for your brand. So the other thing we're going to do for you, Luke, is we are going to, if you haven't, I don't think you've ever won this, but we're going to give you a Tariff Terminator as well, plus the Lunch with Norm mug if you haven't got one. So that's for joining the Wheel of Kelsey today. And I think that's awesome. So,
all right.
Sreenath, thank you for coming on to the podcast today. We really appreciated you coming in with your insight. And Luke will definitely be in touch with you. There he is there. Can't believe I'm the only, I can't believe you're the only one. So anyways, you're going to be able to be the one that has that one edge over your competition. And so anyways, congrats, Luke. But we're going to cut away right now. And if you could just stay backstage for a second, and then I'll come back in about 2 minutes.
Sure.
Okay. So thanks again. Want more great information? Don't forget to subscribe by clicking here. Also, if you want to check out our latest podcasts, click over here.
Lunch with Norm.